Hey guys, in this video I want to go ahead and talk about how to solve these quadratics using completing the square. En este video vamos a resolver estos cuadráticos usando completando el cuadrático. So if you notice, we're going to have to solve for x. So what we have to do is we have to get everything into a quadratic form. Tenemos que resolver todo esto. Entonces tengo que poner todo esto en forma cuadrática. So what I have to do is I have to bring the 4 over to the left and set everything equal to 0 first. Entonces tengo que traer el 4 a la mano izquierda y igualar todo a 0. Entonces me va a dar x cuadrada 4x menos 3 menos 4 igual a 0. So I bring that negative 4 over, or that 4 over becomes a negative. So now I have x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. And the first thing you should try to do, okay, can I factor this? ¿Lo puedo factorizar? I can't. The answer is no, no puedo factorizarlo. Entonces ahora lo que tengo que hacer es completar el cuadrado. Because there's sometimes you will be able to factor it, and that's a lot faster and quicker. In this case, we can't, so let's go ahead and take this guy across. You're going to take x squared plus 4x plus, give yourself some room. Negative 7 becomes up, positive 7. Okay, so now what do? Well, you take half of 4 is 2 and you square it. Okay, entonces no lo podemos factorizar, entonces lo muevo a la mano derecha. Agarro la mitad del 4 que es 2, 2 al cuadrado. And remember, we want to go ahead and now that we have it in this form, we can factor it, and this becomes x plus 2 squared, and that's going to equal to 7. Okay, and then from here we want to go ahead and continue solving it, and we're going to go ahead and square root it. Ahora lo podemos hacer la raíz cuadrada. Okay, the square root and the square simplify out, so we're left with x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 7. And the last thing we have to do is take the positive 2 to the other side. It becomes a negative 2. X equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of 7. And these are your two solutions. Okay, entonces como pueden ver, moví el 7 al otro lado porque no lo pude factorizar. La mitad del 4 es 2, 2 al cuadrado para que lo pueda factorizar. Entonces esto ya lo factoricé. Entonces la raíz cuadrada simplifica la raíz del 2. Entonces me queda x más 2 y nomás traigo el positivo 2 al otro lado. Okay. Now some of these, they can get a little bit complex. So you see how they're kind of mixed around. Ven cómo está todo mezclado. So what I want to do is I want to organize everything. I want everything on one side. I want it like this. Lo quiero todo en esta forma. La x cuadrada a un lado. Now if I take the x squared to the left, I'm going to get a negative x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything to the right. Voy a mover todo a la mano derecha porque aquí la x cuadrada está positivo. So let's see here. Todo esto, se va a mover acá, se va a convertir en negativo. El positivo 2x igual se va a meter acá, se va a poner negativo. Okay, so we're going to have 0 on the left is equal to x squared minus 2x. Voy a poner el 2x. Okay. Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. Okay. Now this is the same thing. Esto es igual que escribir x cuadrado menos 2x menos 5 igual a 0. That's the same thing. Now the thing is, can I factor this? ¿Puedo factorizar esto? Well, the answer is no, you can't factor it. There's not going to be factors of 5 that give you a 2. So we're going to have to complete the square. So take this guy over here, it becomes a positive. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and have x squared minus 2x plus, give yourself some room, and that's going to give you equals to positive 5. And remember, half of negative 2, la mitad de negativo 2 es negativo 1 al cuadrado. And whatever you add on one side, you have to add on the other side. And negative 1 squared. And you know what? Could somebody see my mistake on the left side? What did I forget? I forgot to add this guy. Se me olvidó agregarle este. So let's go ahead and do that. Plus 2 squared. So that's going to give me 4, este me va a dar 4 más 11, más 7 va a ser 11. So this guy actually should be 11, the square root of 11, not just, tiene que ser 11. So this guy has to be the square root of 11, not just 7. So let me write it a lot neater here. So negative 2 plus or minus square root of 11. Okay? And so when you're doing these, just take your time. You can see I tried to do it too fast and made a mistake and I forgot something. But notice, whatever you do on one side, you got to make sure you do it on the other side. Okay? So let's go ahead and keep doing this one. Vamos a continuar con este. Okay? And if you notice now, this guy can be factored. Este lo puedo factorizar. Entonces me da x menos 1 al cuadrado. Over here you get 5 plus 1, which is 6. Now you take the square root on both sides. Okay? And you're left with x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. So now, I just got to take that negative 1 to the right side. Becomes a positive 1, square root of 6. Okay, entonces todo lo que hice, mandé el negativo 1 al otro lado enfrente. Y esas son las dos soluciones, and those are your two solutions. If your teacher wants you to get an approximation, you can just plug it in the calculator. But normally we leave it like this at the college level. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if we can do more. A ver si podemos hacer dos más. Look at, you see how this is all kind of jumbled here. We want to put everything on one side. Entonces queremos poner todo a un lado. I'm going to go ahead and take the 7x squared to the left. That way it'll give me a positive x squared. Voy a poner el 7x cuadrado a la mano izquierda para que me dé positivo. So I'm going to have everything on the left. So 8x squared. The positive 7x squared becomes a negative. Okay, there's a positive 18 right there. The positive 24. And then the positive 7, when I bring them across, becomes a negative 7. There's my equal sign, and then there's a 0. Okay, so this is going to give me x squared plus 18x. 24 minus 7 is, what is that, 17? 17, me da 17. So you notice how I combine everything nice and neat now. So now I'm going to try to factor it. Can I factor this? No, I can't factor this guy because 17 is a prime number. Actually, you know what? You can factor. Si lo podemos factorizar. Yeah, we can factor it, can't we? What are the factors of 17 that give you 18? 17 and 1. 17 por 1. It's x plus 17 and x plus 1. So I actually didn't have to complete the square. I can just go straight to it. So now we have x plus 17 is equal to 0. And x plus 1 is equal to 0. So now what do? You solve it. Well, that means x is going to equal to negative 17. And x is equal to negative 1. So this is the importance of just kind of making sure you double check and see if, can I factor it? In this case, I thought, well, this is a prime number. I won't be able to. But yeah, you can. So you can use 17 and 1. Y en este problema yo creía que no se puede hacer, pero sí se puede hacer porque 17 más 1 me da 18. So in this one, we didn't have to complete the square. So just be careful with that. Let's go ahead and do one more problem. Vamos a hacer uno más. Same thing, I'm going to take the 2x squared to the left so I can have a positive x squared. Voy a mandar el 2x cuadrado, lo voy a mandar a la izquierda para que tenga positivo el x cuadrado. So the 2x squared becomes a negative. The 6x, positive 6x becomes a negative 6x. And then I'm going to add the minus 15. And I like to put them in order just because it's, number one, your professor is going to ask you for that. Number two, we're dealing with quadratics, so we might have to factor. Okay, so now that it's in order, let's see, 3x squared minus 2x squared. That is 1x squared minus 6x minus 15. Now, can I factor? Okay, ¿puedo factorizar esa? No. 5 and 3 won't give me 6. 15 and 1 won't give me 6. So, what do I have to do? I have to complete the square. Tengo que completar el cuadrado. El negativo 15 se convierte en positivo. Okay, so now we have x squared, x cuadrada, menos 6x, más algo, al otro lado me da positivo 15. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. La mitad de negativo 6 es menos 3. Pero no se les olvide, lo que se agrega a un lado se agrega al otro lado. Okay, so what we add on one side, we add on the other side. So now this guy we can go ahead and factor it. So we're going to be left with x minus 3 squared. And then this is going to give me 15 plus 9, which is 24. Okay, so we have x minus 3 squared. And then how do I get rid of the square? You're going to square root. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we'll be left with x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 24. Last thing I have to do is just bring the negative 3 across. Voy a traerme el menos 3 enfrente. Se convierte en positivo. So we have a positive square root of 24. Now the only thing that I think your professor is going to ask you to do is simplify this out. Can we simplify the square root of 24? Yes, you can. Into what? Well, 4 times 6. What's the square root of 4? Is 2. So you're going to get 3 plus or minus 2, the whole number, and then square root of 6. And there it is. So those are some problems on completing the square. Let's go ahead and do 2 more, just for practice. These are a little bit more difficult, but much the same. Estos son iguales, no un poquito más difícil. Now, same thing, I'm going to bring the 3 across over here. So now, 2x squared minus 4x plus 1, and then minus 3. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 2x cuadrado menos 4x menos 2 igual a 0. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things here. All right. First thing I see a 2, 4, and 2. So, well, can I reduce this? Can I make this smaller? The answer is yes. Anytime you can, you want to simplify, you want to reduce, make the number smaller. Como pueden ver, cada tiene 2, 4 y 2. Entonces lo que puedo hacer es reducir todos los números. Y quiero que hagan eso cada vez que puedan, porque entonces vamos a estar usando números pequeños. So when I see this, I can reduce it, so I can make the number smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the left and the right by 2. So divide the left side of the equation by 2. That means I have to divide the right side by 2. And that's important because now I can go ahead and solve it. Remember, this doesn't change anything to the answer because, think about it, 1/2 is the same thing as 4 over 8. Es igual como decir 1/2 es igual a 4/8. You see, what's the difference? Well, has a multiplicative constant of 2. So you just want to make it smaller. So if I do divide everything by 2, the equation is still balanced and I can continue and solve it. And that's going to give me minus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so the question is, can I factor this? Ahora, ¿puedo factorizar esto? Okay, now what are the factors of negative 1? Will that give me negative 2? No, it won't. No me va a dar negativo 2. So I can't factor it. So what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and complete the square. So the negative 1 becomes a positive 1. So now I'm left with x squared minus 2x and plus something. 0 plus 1 is 1. And then half of negative 2 is negative 1. We're going to square that. Remember, whatever you add on one side, you add on the other side. Okay. Now you can go ahead and factor this out. So we're left with x minus 1 squared equals, and then negative 1 squared is 1. Be careful with that. And then 1 plus 1, that's going to give me 2. And just continue solving it from there. So we're going to take the square root, both sides. Okay, and then the square root and the square simplify out. You're going to get x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus square root of 2. Last thing, I'm going to take this negative 1 to the other side. You're going to get x is equal to 1 plus or minus square root of 2. All right, and that's it. So you can see that dividing it by 2, I wasn't able to factor, but now I'm just dealing with smaller numbers, which are easier to work with. Now let's go ahead and do number 6. Okay. El número 6 va a ser igual, quiero combinar los términos, entonces me voy a traer todo esto a la mano izquierda. So I'm going to take the x squared to the left so that way I can have a positive. So let's see, I have 3x squared minus x squared, and then positive 6x becomes a negative 6x, and then you have negative 8, and then you bring the 2 over, becomes a -2, you have your equals and a 0. Entonces todo lo que hice es mandar todo a la mano izquierda, lo puse en orden. So now that when I do the math, I get 2x squared minus 6x minus 10. All right. So, oh, look at this, 2, 6, and 10. I can go ahead and actually divide by 2 again, huh? Puedo dividir por 2 otra vez, ¿verdad? And I want to do that just because I don't really like dealing with big numbers. It's a lot easier to deal with smaller numbers. So remember, as long as you do the same on both sides of the equation, you can manipulate or rewrite the equation. Okay, this will keep the equation balanced. Okay, and so this is what I'm going to get. Okay, esto es lo que me va a dar. Esto es igual a esto. This is the same thing, guys. So now, let's see. Can I factor this? Factors of 5. That'll give me 3. No, I can't. So what do I have to do? I have to complete the square. So let's go ahead and take the -5 over here. Becomes a +5. And then I have x squared minus 3x plus something. And that's going to equal 5. All right, well, -3. It's okay. Half of -3 is -1.5. We're going to get a decimal, and that's okay. And that's -1.5. La mitad de 3 es 1.5. Ni modos, nos agarró un decimal. So now if I factor it, I get x minus 1.5 squared. And then I have 5 plus, and this becomes 2.25. Okay, 2.25. So that becomes 7.25. And then I have x minus 1.5, and that's squared. And I can go ahead and finish solving it now. So I'm going to go ahead and square root it. Square root it. I am left with x minus 1.5 equals plus or minus 7.25. Great. I mean, I have decimals, but it is what it is, and it'll be okay. So let's go ahead and bring the -1.5. Becomes a 1.5 positive. Square root of 7.25. Okay. And that's it, guys. So hopefully that makes sense how we're solving these quadratic equations by completing the square. Espero que les haya ayudado cómo completar el cuadrado para resolver estos cuadráticos. Gracias.